So I believe we're on YouTube. So Hare Krishna. Welcome everyone. Welcome to our weekly Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam study, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam deep dive into the first canto, chapter 2 of the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. And we're coming towards closer to the end of this chapter. As remember, we made an acronym for this chapter, and the acronym is Divine. Actually, the chapter is called Divinity and Divine Service. And so the acronym, the first D, is for the verses 1 through 5, is to dignify. They're glorifying the questions. They're glorifying the sages that are asking the questions. They're then they begin to glorify. Vyasa begins to glorify, or Asutta Goswami begins to glorify his guru, Shukadeva Goswami. And then it begins the answer. So I stands for inquiries answered. So there's a succinct answer for there are 4 questions, actually 6 questions that are asked in the first chapter. 4 of them are answered in this chapter. And so there's 2 verses that succinctly answer the first 2 questions. What is of great value? What's the essence of religious practice or spiritual practice? What is the essence of Dharma? And so that's answered in verses 6 and 7. And then what is valuable? That is just further elaborated verses 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, I believe, 15. And then beginning with verse 16, let's go back. Chapter 2, advanced view. And you'll see beginning with text number 16, yes, is the next letter in the acronym. So it's D-I-V-I. I is for increments, and we went through all 9 stages of devotional service, beginning with Shraddha, ending with Prema. And now that is being summarized, and now we're going to N is for navigate. And so here it's saying that the highest process of bhakti is bhakti, and now also here it's saying the highest personality to worship is Lord Krishna, Lord Vishnu. And so the N here is to navigate, to understand these various divine, immensely powerful personalities. And these personalities are Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. These personalities are like gods to the demigods, to the devatas. The demigods like Indra, Chandra, Surya. They all have lifespans. They all have powers, but their powers, their influence, their abilities are insignificant to compare that to Brahma or compare that to Lord Shiva. So these are great, great, powerful personalities worthy of our affection and worship and attention. So, how are we supposed to understand these personalities? And that's why this N is given there for navigate. How are we supposed to navigate in our understanding of that? So, let's see. Will allow me to share. Let me see. I can share my screen from. Since I'm co-host, it should be fine. All right. So we go to mail. And welcome. I just want to say welcome. How are you guys doing?
Haribo.
Haribo.
I'm doing good. We've been doing lots of services, so we're all like super exhausted right now. But we're okay, and Krishna House has been great.
Nice, nice. All right, so here we are. And how about you, Dana K? We'll continue. Sattvam rajastamititi prakrite gunaster yukta para purusha ekahi hasya dhate stiti adhaye hari virichinchi harit virinchi hariti samgya shreyansi tatra kalu sattvatana. Yeah, I don't know this one yet, so we'll be both learning this together. Translation. The transcendental personality of Godhead is indirectly associated with the three modes of material nature, namely passion, goodness, and ignorance. And just for the material world's creation, maintenance, and destruction, he accepts the three qualitative forms of Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. Of these three, all human beings can derive ultimate benefit from Vishnu, the form of the quality of goodness. So you have the generator, you have the operator, and the destroyer. G-O-D. Generator, operator, and destroyer. If you want to generate something, if you want to make a car, what personal qualification must you have? So you need materials, but what do you need as an individual to build a car?
You need to have knowledge about the car.
Yeah, so you need to have that intelligence. So therefore, Brahma, who is he accompanied by? Brahma is accompanied by his wife is Saraswati, intelligence, because his job is to engineer, to create. Now, if you want to maintain, say you have I'm in this big, beautiful temple. It's a really big temple. It's kind of like a maze, even trying to get around everywhere. It's got a beautiful balcony around the temple room, like a stage, like you're at a opera house or a theater. So you have two different levels: the temple floor and then above. And if you want to keep this place together, what do you need? Say the walls need repainting. What do you need?
You need people who can do that, to helpers.
Nice. So you need some kind of helpers, and you also need money to pay for the paint. So there's some opulence or some fortune. So who is accompanying Lord Vishnu is Lakshmi. And who's accompanying Lord Shiva? If you want to destroy something, you need some intense. What do you need for destruction? Some intense power. And so Shiva Shakti. Shiva's married with Shakti. And so here we're going to hear about what's the difference between those different personalities. So the purport, I'm going to continue. That Lord Krishna, by his plenary parts, should be rendered devotional service, as explained above, is confirmed by this statement. But Shri Krishna and all his plenary parts are Vishnu Tattva, or lordship of Godhead. So Krishna has many different forms, but these forms are actually there himself. It manifested into different forms. So the word plenary, sometimes when we first started reading Prabhupada's books and we hear these words, Prabhupada uses English words that most of us don't normally use. Plenary actually means complete. It doesn't mean a part, it means complete. So his complete parts. So that's actually the Lord himself. And therefore that category of being is called Vishnu Tattva. That's the Lord in his, that's actually the Lord himself. So you have these two main categories of beings, Vishnu Tattva and what's the bottom one? Jiva Tattva. So you have the Lord and the souls. And then you have this one personality who uniquely stands in the middle, and that's Lord Shiva. From Sri Krishna, the next manifestation is Baladev. So this is like the, what do you call, taxonomy of his different expansion. So from Krishna comes Baladev, from Baladev, Sankarshan, from Sankarshan is Narayan, and from Narayan is the second Sankarshan, and from this Sankarshan is the Vishnu Purusha avatars. Who knows? Has anybody heard that term, the Purusha avatars? Actually, let me stop. Sure. Purusha avatars. Anybody heard that before?
I've heard it, but I couldn't tell you about it.
Same here.
So Purusha avatars is the Lord's expansion, where he first expands into this. He has this gigantic form known as Karana Dakshayi Vishnu. Karana means cause. He lies on the causal ocean, the ocean of all ingredients of this material existence. And he, coming out of his pores, entire universes emanate. As he says, what is it, Bhagavad Gita? Kapakshayi panastani kapado vrishajamyaham. At the end of the time the end of the millennium, they merge into me. And at the beginning of the millennium, they come back out. So in the time of Brahma's life, the universes are in existence. And after 311 trillion, 40 billion years, they merge back into the Lord's body. And then you'll find this same kind of scenario in and even in the other forms of Vishnu. So this is this giant form. He's so big that one universe is all we could ever know in this material existence. There are billions of planets. Srila Prabhupada said, like mustard seeds in a bag, so many of them. The mustard seeds are very small, giant bag. It's almost, it's very hard to count. But we'll just speak of this universe, millions and millions of different planets. And that's just one universe. And that universe is so small compared to this giant form of the Lord that they come out of his pores as sweat may come out of our pores. And so this form is called Karanadakshaya Vishnu. And then there's a much, much smaller form of the Lord, way smaller. And his name is Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. Guess how small he is? Can you guess how small Garbhodakshaya Vishnu is?
I think they said it was like smaller than the end of a hair strand.
No, this Vishnu is so small compared to the other Vishnu that he's the size of just one universe. That's it. He's, imagine you had a form that was so small that you could fit inside your pore. So that's how small this other form of Lord Vishnu is, that he fits inside of just one universe. And then he gets into a much smaller form. So that second form is where the lotus flower blossoms from his belly button and Brahma is born. That's that second form. And Brahma is born, and he's born into darkness, and he hears this sound, tapa, and he begins to meditate. And there he gets some instruction from the Lord. So then the Lord enters into a much smaller form, smaller than even Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, who's so small, he only fits into one universe. And that form is Kshirodakshaya Vishnu. And he's the Lord of the heart. He enters into the heart of every creature. He enters into every atom. And he also has his own abode called Shwetatvi, which is the ocean of milk. That's where the demigods go and plead for the Lord to appear for Brahma. when he appeared as Krishna. Most of the avatars are from this form. They're coming out of this form of the Lord known as Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Vishnu. Okay, so those are the Purushas, the three Purushas, the three super souls, the three Paramatmas, the Paramatma of all of existence, the Paramatma of the universe, and or the Paramatma of the aggregate entities, the Paramatma of the universe, and the Paramatma of inside the heart of every creature and inside the atom. So the three Purushas, three Paramatmas, three Pumsams. Savai Pumsam Paro Dharmo. This is a famous verse in the 4th chapter of this canto. All the avatars come from the Pumsams, but Krishna is the source. So let's go back to share the screen. Okay, come on. Vishnu. The Vishnu, or the deity of the quality of goodness, and the material world is the Purusha avatar known as Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Vishnu, or Paramatma. Brahma is the deity of Rajas, and passion, and Shiva of tamas, or ignorance. They are the three departmental heads of three qualities of this material world. Creation is made possible by Brahma's quality of passion and his endeavor, and is maintained by goodness it is maintained by the goodness of Vishnu. And when it's required to be destroyed, Lord Shiva does it by his Tandava Nritya, his dance of destruction. The materialists and the foolish human beings worship God, Brahma and Shiva respectively. But the pure transcendentalists worship the pure form of goodness, Vishnu, and his various forms. Vishnu is manifested by his millions and billions of integrated forms and separated forms. The integrated forms are called Godhead, and the separated forms are called the living entities, or the Jivas. Both the Jivas and Godhead have their original spiritual form. So you have Jivas and Godhead, and then Krishna is the supreme personality of God. He is the form of the Lord where he is exhibiting his full feature. Both living Jivas are sometimes subjected to the control of material energy, but Vishnu forms are always the controllers of this energy. When Vishnu, the personality of God, appears in the material world, he comes to deliver the conditioned living beings under the material energy. So, just like the mayor may go to the prison, or the governor, to give some words of advice to the people who are inside the prison. But he's not under the laws or control of the prison. He's not subjected to the stringent rules of the prison. He is free to come and go. Such living beings appear in the material world with the intentions of being lords, and thus they become attracted by the three modes of nature. As such, the living beings have to change their material coverings for undergoing different terms of imprisonment, different kind of bodies. The prison house of the material world is created by Brahma under the instruction of the personality of Godhead. And at the conclusion of a kalpa, the whole thing is destroyed by Shiva. But as far as maintenance of the prison house is concerned, it is done by Vishnu, as much as the state prison house is maintained by the state. Anyone, therefore, who wishes to get out of this prison of the house of material existence, which is full of miseries like repetition of birth, death, old age, and disease, must please Lord Vishnu for such liberation. Lord Vishnu is worshipped by devotional service only, and if anyone has to continue prison life in this material world, he may ask for relative facilities for temporary relief from different demigods like Shiva, Brahma, Indra, and Varuna. Okay, so you can take care of, you can give attention and very nicely approach the prison warden. And if by your nice behavior, the warden may give you like there was one person, he was in prison and he was a very good accountant. So the warden gave him an office job before he was actually working. This was like an older prison where he was actually mining or like breaking rocks, doing very, very tedious labor. But because of his being of use and pleasure to the warden was able to give him a nice facility. So you can worship a demigod. They might give you a nice facility in the material world, but you'd be foolish to think that that's a height of your situation, because that's like you're still in prison. So material world, you may get some nice things from a devata, the different representatives of the supreme person. They're empowered representatives, these different demigods, but you're still in prison. Only the someone who is actually representing the government or the state, the governor, the president can actually let you out. No, yeah, so that's what this can be done only by Vishnu. This is the ultimate benefit. Shreyas is, it says there in the verse, Shreyas, the ultimate benefit. So Shreyas and Preyas. Let's look at this. Verse 23. Is this verse the one that has the fire and smoke, or is that the next verse? Let me look. Is that the next verse? 23. Okay, it's next verse. It said, you got earth. From earth comes wood, and then from wood comes you have earth is the source of it. Wood, you have within wood you have fire. But the first, it is from smoke is born from wood, and fire is born from smoke. So it's really fire is the you can take benefit from fire. Smoke doesn't really benefit you so much. You can't really do anything with the smoke, especially in regards to like in the Vedic sacrifices. They're performing these yagas, they need fire. Smoke is insufficient. Can't do anything with it. So certainly the mode of goodness is the best situation, because Lord Vishnu is the controller of the mode of goodness, and he's situated in what's called Lord of Sattva, beyond mode of goodness, but pure goodness, meaning it has no tinge of the gunas. It's not his status is not of a material status. So that's in another verse that's coming up. So these beings are associated with the three modes of nature, but it is Lord Brahma. He actually is tinged by he is affected by that situation of passion. Lord Shiva, he is a more elevated personality than Lord Brahma, but he is said to also have some connection to the mode of ignorance. Sometimes he is said not to be connected, sometimes he's said to be connected, but he is the Brahma Samhita describes him to be like an actual form of the Lord that is touched by matter. So how many of you know how to make yogurt? Dana K, know how to make yogurt?
Sort of.
Sort of. Okay. Carmen, have you ever made yogurt?
I've made butter.
Okay, it's similar but different. So you're going to boil milk. You ready for the recipe? Ready?
Yes.
Okay, so boil milk. Are you going to do it this week? I don't know. You're not at home, so you may not have the choice.
I could do it for Krishna house. We're all taking turns cooking.
Okay, so you're going to boil milk. And of course, if you get the milk from the cows there, oh my God, that's going to be amazing. The urban farm, Bhakti urban farm. So you boil milk, And sometimes some people boil it once, some people even boil it several times, like let it come to like a boil over where it starts to rise and let it cool down. But usually boiling once is fine. And then you let it cool down where it's just a certain temperature, not too boiling hot. And that temperature is measured in a very specific way. You wash your hands and you put your pinky inside. And if you can say Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, and then you have to take your finger out, then it's the right temperature. That's the very scientific, specific measurement. Is that if you can chant one whole mantra with your pinky in it, then it's the right temperature, unless you have maybe your numb pinky or something. And so that means it's the right temperature. And then at that point, you add a culturing agent. Usually the simplest way is just to add some other yogurt to it, a nice yogurt culture. Yogurt that's maybe not too sour, something good yogurt culture. You add it maybe a cup to a gallon, and then you just let it sit in a semi-warm place, not too cool. And then you wait 6 hours, 5 hours, maybe longer, and the whole thing turns into yogurt. Then you can refrigerate it, may sweeten it if you like. But the whole thing becomes transformed into a different substance that is still in its essence milk, but it's been changed. And although you can always turn milk into yogurt, you can't turn yogurt back into milk. So Shriram Dadari Vishesha Yogat. This verse has this word yogat, but that's not the word yogurt in the verse. It is Shriram, that the Lord Shiva, Lord Vishnu is like milk, and Lord Shiva is like yogurt. And that when Krishna appears in a form which is touched by a culturing agent, touched by matter, then that form that is slightly adjusted is known as Shiva. The form of the Lord that is slightly adjusted. Shriram yata dadivikara vishesha yogat sanjayate hinahitata pritad asti hetoho yasyam bhutam apitata samupaiti karyat govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. So that's Brahma Samhita 5.45. You can look that one up. And also Lord Brahma. Actually, sometimes Brahma, he is a being that is being bestowed power by the Lord. That's why he is such a powerful being. But sometimes there's not even a qualified being to take that position. So Lord Vishnu becomes Brahma himself. That's in special circumstances. So both these personalities are not, in effect, as potent and free as the Lord himself. So here's a nice quote from Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur's purport. He says, some say that Brahma and Shiva, Shiva's Ishvar, of the Supreme Lord. Others say that he is connected to the gunas. They explain as follows. It should be understood that yoga means connection by proximity, by contact, and by supervision. The Purusha, connected by the gunas only as the supervisor, is devoid of gunas, being situated in Sarup. Brahma and Shiva, however, are connected to Rajas and Tamas by contact, and therefore called Saguna, endowed with the gunas. Being related to Sattva Guna only by proximity. That's the Purusha in the form of Shirodakshay Vishnu is devoid of the gunas, being situated in his own Sarup. Thus it is said, this is Bhagavatam, same chapter, that we were Yoga Niyama Katai Guna Sambhana Uchate Atasate Na Yujate Tatrasam Shamba Shvaha. I don't know. Actually, I have to see it written out in a different way. Parasya Yaha. The relationship of the Purusha with the gunas as that of being their controller. Among the three, he who is the Swamsha of the Sarup, Krishna, is not bound by the gunas. Oh, this is Lagu Bhagavatam. I thought this was Bhagavatam because it looks like it's 1-18. Looks like it was. So this is Lagu Bhagavatam 1-18, not Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 1-18. So this is the Lord in his original form, his expansion, his own expansion. And he's therefore not bound by the gunas. Therefore, he's also called nirguna, not nirguna, no connection, no material qualities. So I think we have kind of a limited time. So is there any comments or questions? You can dive into the reading. There's some, if you look at the reading that's sent in the email, there's a lot of information. Anything you want to say? Carmen, anything you want to take with you today?
So in the beginning, when you were explaining divine, and we're now in like the navigation part.
Yes.
It sort of reminded me of something I read. It's like you're navigating, you're being pointed into a direction. And it sort of reminded me about a book that I read about compassion. And it said that the highest form of compassion is using your own time or your like self to reach out and spread Krishna consciousness. I don't know how that connected, but that's how it connected.
Oh, nice. Krishna is connected to everywhere, so we can. Nice. You're going to say something else. Please continue.
Yes. And then when you're talking about the different paramatmas, I completely forgot how tiny we are.
Oh, yes.
So
see how tiny we are? There's one,
yeah, like,
the second Vishnu, he's so small. He's just the size of one of those little tiny universes.
It's crazy. And then you were talking about like the one that sits in the heart. And I mean, that one makes sense. And I completely remember that one. But the other ones and like how big they are, it's just like, wow, we are extremely, extremely tiny. Yes. So it just like blew my mind.
And Brahma, he lives for 311 trillion years, but he lives for just one exhalation of Vishnu.
Wow.
When he breathes in, that's the end of Brahma's life. That's it. And Dana K, any reflections there?
I really liked when you were explaining about how they each like line up with the different gunas, and it made so much sense the way you explained it, and it just kind of looking at that in my own life when those things come up and you get hung up in the gunas and that, and how I don't know, it really resonated a lot and brought a lot more up, like
thank you.
It made it easier to really picture each one too, you know. So sorry, I'm rambling.
No. Thank you. So yes, because we're a little short on time today, because I think we might have a countdown from Zoom, because I have to figure out the Zoom account. So you can look at the reading. We could start practicing our verse, and then after that, we're gonna. My son is at there's a big home program. It's like a big mansion, and somewhere in, I think it's called Stouffville. And in the whoever lives there, some family lives there, and they had a deity installation on their altar of their home. They have like a big old mansion, and they're having hundreds of people over, and they're having a 12-hour kirtan at their house with like hundreds and hundreds of people. They have a big outdoor program. And so I'm gonna head there right after, take the clothes out of the dryer and head over there. So this looks like it fits cleanly into the Brahma Samhita meter. So I'll pull it back on the screen. Let me see. How do we get that? Zoom again. When I share my screen, you guys see it, correct? Because I'm the first time doing it with the iPad and the phone at the same time.
Did you share yet?
When I shared the screen earlier, you guys saw everything?
Oh,
saw the screen?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
All right. Start broadcast. Okay. Okay, now at least you can make a video. Sattvam rajastama iti prakatir gunaster. Sattvam rajastama iti